Call to order the City of Boynton Beach City Commissioners meeting today, June 6, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise for invocation by Bernard Wright, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Katz.
Good evening, everyone. God bless everyone on the dais and everyone in attendance. We know not what to pray for as we ought, but the Holy Spirit of God make intercessions for us with groanings that cannot be uttered. Father, as we come before your presence tonight, we come before you not with our agenda. We come before you asking that your will be done, not my will, not the mayor's will, not no one in the residence of Boynton Beach will be done, but your will be done for this city in a prophetic spirit of a better Boynton. We lift up the parents and all the children and everyone in attendance and everyone that are associated with them and the city staff of this government here in Boynton Beach, Florida, asking that your will be done in their lives. In Jesus' name we pray, amen, amen, and amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Stephen Grant.
Here.
Vice Mayor Justin Katz.
Here.
Commissioner Mac McCrae.
Here.
Commissioner Christina Romulus.
Present.
Commissioner Joe Casello.
Here.
All present.
Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to informational items. Commissioner Casello, would you like to begin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things that we attended the Veterans Memorial Day service over at the Memorial Park, memorializing our veterans who've made it all possible for us to sit up here today. Also attended the Sarah Sims neighborhood gathering to talk about the Sarah Sims master plan with Director Michael Simon, getting the residents' input, what they'd like to see there as far as the park is concerned. It was a very spirited and informative meeting. That's all.
Commissioner Romulus.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone got here nice and safe with all the rain, and thank goodness for that because we've been having some droughts in the state. This past weekend, I actually was up in Tampa for the Institute for Municipal Elected Officials conference, and really what I got out of that was just reaffirmation that we have some of the best staff in all the state of Florida, and I say that very proudly. And I really commend our city manager Lori Laveria for all the work that she's doing and the ship that she's steering very well here for the city. And when you put Boynton Beach up against some of the others in the state, by comparison, we are doing things by leaps and bounds. So I'm really proud that we are, doing so well here in Boynton Beach, and ecstatic that I got a chance to see that and see how far we've come. Sometimes we get a little spoiled when we're, this is all we see, but when you get to kind of stand outside the box for a little bit and look at it from a eagle's eyes point of view, makes you grateful for where we are and where we are going. I also attended the Palm Beach County Housing Summit this past week, and it was a good opportunity to see what's available. Sadly, I was a little disappointed. I felt like there needs to be a deeper level conversation regarding our need for affordable housing and workforce housing here in Palm Beach County, and we need to do a better job as a city and also as a county to make sure that we create housing that allows for our employees that do such great work to be also be able to live here. So this is something that I'm passionate about, and I hope to keep creating advocacy for this issue because again we need to create more workforce and affordable housing here in the city. With that, just had a lot of great events that I attended over the past couple weeks. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them, but those are some things I really wanted to make sure I pointed out. One last thing I want to make sure I mention is the TPS renewal that was granted by the current administration. I don't want to sound ungrateful when I say thank you, but it's not enough. A 6-month extension to temporary protected status for over 50,000 plus Haitian Americans who've been living here in this country, who've created businesses, who have been a agile part of the workforce, to now all of a sudden get a 6-month notice. You give a 6-month notice to a renter, you give a 6-month notice to a mortgager, not to a person who has created a life here. So I still want to say thank you, but at the same time, it's not enough. So with that, I will end my time. Thank you.
Commissioner McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say that I was in attendance of the class of 2017, Boynton Beach Community High School. Mayor, I seen you up on stage, looked well. The reason I was there was because of my nephew, Amari Wanye Prince. He was a graduate of that class of 2017. I attended the first meeting for the responders at the Catholic Church, the first service that they had, and Mrs. Oyer got up in one of our meetings and made point that, elected officials ought to be present. I'd just like to be noted for the record that I was the only elected official that was there. Okay, I had a meeting with the Heart of Boynton Homeowners Association, one which I called. The reason I called this was that there's a lot of issues in the Heart of Boynton District 2. Commissioner Romulus, I understand that you're praising the city, but District 2, we have no praises at this time. Also, I attended the Sarah Sims Park Master Plan, where it was a very informative meeting. We got a lot done. I met with Dr. Deborah Robinson, school board member, Palm Beach County, and I also attended the City of Boynton Beach budget input meeting. That's it for me. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Katz.
Nothing to disclose at this time.
All right. For myself, since it's been a while, on May 17th, I welcomed the Yorkshire Utilities delegation from England around our MIEX plant that is being constructed. I went to the League of Cities installations where our Commissioner Casello is again installed as the big city representative. That evening I attended Bourbon Sprawl with Kim Delaney of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. 18th I attended the MPO meeting and also spoke at the Fallen Officers Remembrance Ceremony. On the 19th I went to Cross Point's Career Day and attended the Technology Enterprise and Development Gala held at Benvenuto. The 20th I was at the roof raising for Habitat for Humanity, the new homes on Southwest 6th Avenue, and also was at the graduation from Boynton Beach High School. The principal, Barch, had the announcement that that graduating class had the highest graduation rate in Boynton Beach Community High School history. 22nd, I attended the General Employees Public Pension Meeting. On the 23rd, I met with the Myers Group and visited Tech Runway, which is FAU's business incubator. On the 24th, I went to visit Boca Middle School and spoke to the Miss Oyer 7th period class. I attended the grand opening special for Bacciami and went to the graduation for South Tech, where they stated that they had a 97% passing graduation rate. On the 25th, I was at the contractors meeting for the Ocean Avenue Bridge. I attended the Brookdale Veterans Wall dedication for all the veterans that are at Brookdale. On the 28th, I went to the Boynton Beach Veterans Memorial, and on the 29th, I was there with the Cancer Alliance of Hope and Health, where a nonprofit organization paid the rent of a family whose little girl has cancer, and also gave them a huge gift basket, and it was very touching. That afternoon, I attended the Palm Beach Memorials, a day for remembrance. On the 30th, I attended the road impact fee with the MPO. In Palm Beach County, we have a road impact fee that we put on all new developments. and currently it is only designated for road capacity and not mobility. That is why the cities of West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Gardens are doing a mobility study, where I think Boynton Beach needs to also have a mobility study so that the funds do not get put into the county. I met with Deborah Robinson at the school board and attended the last Cub Scout meeting for the session. They currently are looking for a new den leader, the one that is being held at Point Siena. On the 31st, I attended the Freedom Shores graduation. And then went to the Housing Summit. And then that evening went to the Sarah Sims Community event. On the 1st, I went to visit Nonprofit Brewery. They were awarded a grant from the city and saw the person that they hired and was able to buy some more kombucha and ginger beer. On the 3rd, I went to Children's Oasis International. I was the only one from the city there. And this past Monday, I went up to Palm Beach Gardens to be interviewed for WPBF Channel 25. I had my town hall over at Fire Station 5, so thank you, Chief Joseph, for allowing me it there, and had the after event at Brass Tap. And that is all for today, this month. Moving on to announcements, community and special events and presentations. Senator Jeff Clemens and Representative Lori Berman are sorry that they had to go up, well, not sorry, but they're sorry they can't make it, but they had to go up to the special session in Tallahassee this week. Next announcement is a special commission meeting on June 12th, 2017 at 6 p.m. in the commission chambers concerning update on the Town Square project. So for those who were asking about their involvement in the Town Square project, that is the date to come to speak. Next is the announcement that July 5th, 2017 commission meeting has been canceled. And important to know that the announcement of the annual change to free chlorination of the water supply from June 9, 2017 through July 7, 2017. Is there someone to explain a little bit more? Colin? Or what is there something we need to look at?
No, all you need to do is really read it. But since you called my name, I'm going to introduce, stand up. Joe Patanetti is our new interim utility director. Bevis was doing it for 6 months. Now it's his 6-month turn in the barrel. So I did want to introduce him. So when you have questions for utilities, Joe is ready to answer them.
Okay, please, Joe. I heard that some people who are sensitive to chlorine and tropical fish and plants may be affected by this chlorination.
I don't believe so. In my professional opinion, I don't think that's the case. It may
Push your mic up so we can hear you, please.
I'm sorry.
Especially me.
This is Joe Patanetti, Utility Director, Acting Utility Director. I don't believe, in my professional opinion, that it will affect the public in that manner.
Okay.
It's just a high-level shock to the system to help clean it out a little bit better than we normally do.
Okay.
It's required for us to do that once a year.
Okay.
And you'll just taste a little extra chlorine in the water. Won't hurt you, but just helps us sanitize the pipes.
Okay. And so if we want to use a filtered, that should get out some of the chlorine? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
And this will not affect patients that's on dialysis?
Yes, it will.
Okay, so that's what we were asking about, if there's anybody who may be affected.
Thank you.
And next, Debbie Coles DeBay to announce the Coconut Dreams exhibit.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Debbie Coles DeBay, Public Art Manager. I want to invite everybody to tomorrow night's Coconut Dreams exhibit reception. It's at the City Library, 5:30 to 7. And historians and authors Janet DeVries and Ginger Peterson, they found and discovered 34 historical images on eBay. These images were taken by Romlin Pearson and depict coastal Palm Beach County as it was a century ago. The 1912 and 1922 black and white tinted and sepia images are printed on canvas and for sale at a very reasonable price. Tomorrow night, Jen and Ginger will share some of the stories that are associated with these wonderful images. And since the photos include mostly coconuts in the photos, there's even a chance to take home your own coconut dream, which is in the form of a potted coconut seedling. There's lots of coconut treats also that will be served, so we welcome everybody to come. The flyers for this event are in the back of the room. You're welcome to pick one up, or you can go to BoyntonBeachArts.org or Facebook, Art in Public Places, and also Twitter at Boynton Arts. Any questions? Thank you.
And now the Fishing for Fireworks event on Saturday, July 1st.
Good evening, everyone. Amy Blackman, Recreation Superintendent, and I want to tell you about a way that we are going to make your life fun for 4th of July. So our 4th of July celebration is going to be on Saturday, July 1st, so then you and your families can enjoy another municipal fireworks celebration on the 4th. Also, during the 4th, it's from 6 to 10:30 to Intercoastal Park Clubhouse. It's a Saturday night, so we don't need to worry about our kids being too tired or ourselves being too tired the next day to go to work or go to camp or wherever we may go. So we start at 6 o'clock with our Kids Corner, which goes until 9 p.m. We also have the DD Wild Band, a lot of fun dance music. They go on at 6:30. At 7:30, we have our 80s Tribute Band, which is On the Rocks. If you've ever heard them, they're a lot of fun, a really good dance band to get people up and moving. We have our Patriotic Salute, our fireworks at 8:45. And then at 9 are the actual fireworks. And then at 9:20, then we have the band that goes on again. So it's a really fun opportunity to get out, have everybody, your family and your friends come. We will be having a lot more vendors this year for food. There will be a designated food area similar to what you may see at Sunfest, and so some alternative beverages. So please join us on that day. There are flyers in the back, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Excuse me, you made it mention that you won't be so tired, but I'd like to just make mention that this is the night before we do services at our church. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll let them know. Thank you.
And also, the last announcement is that this week is Tire Amnesty Week. So if you have used tires, please put them out on the curb and they will be picked up. Next is public audience. Individual speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations.
Hello, I'm Ben Dector.
And I am Joseph Haynes.
We are the founders of the Global Change Challenge Club at Freedom Shores Elementary School. Our mission is to take action to ensure the comfort of children who are hospitalized in our own neighborhoods and to inspire other students globally to take action in theirs by collecting and distributing pajamas. We will make a child smile one pajama at a time. We are hoping to make a connection with a school in Finland to carry on our mission. Did you know there were 6.4 million hospital stays for children 17 years and younger in 2009? Nearly 17% of all hospital stays. About 3/4 of these pediatric hospital stays were for infants under the age of 1 year. Nearly 1 out of every 6 discharges from the U.S. hospitals in 2012 were for children ages 17 years and younger, the majority of whom were infants, including newborns. According to the website About Kids Health Copyright 2004 to 2017, About Kids Health, a stay in the hospital can be difficult for a child at any age. Illness and hospital stays are both stressful. They disrupt a child's life and can interfere with normal development. While they are in a hospital, children may miss their friends and family. They may be bored or they may be afraid. Children may not understand why they are in the hospital, or they may have false beliefs about what is happening to them. For seriously ill or injured children, a hospital might seem like a scary place. We wish to make a child's hospital stay feel more like home, since comfort helps the healing process. We hope that wearing comfy PJs instead of hospital gowns will feel like wearing a big hug.
Here's a testimonial of what pajamas meant to a patient and their family. Christy said, "Our son might go to the doctor for a checkup, have a blood test, and end up admitted to the hospital. We would show up and we would have nothing. We were not ready to stay overnight. So sometimes you're not prepared and you're stuck. These kids don't want to wear hospital gowns. Some of the children are in hospitals for days or months on end. They just want a sense of being a normal kid." Our son would say, "I don't want to be here." A hospital stay could last 6 to 8 months, so anything that makes them feel normal is important. Day and night are all the same in the hospital. Putting on PJs at night and then changing into different ones in the morning can help differentiate between day and night to make a kid feel like they have a normal schedule. For some kids, short sleeve pajamas might be the best if they have an IV. Our son's port was next to his heart, so for him the best were the easily accessible zippered, button-snapped styles, baggy two-piece styles. Just imagine a little boy waking up as the Hulk and going to bed as Spider-Man, or a little girl pretending to be Cinderella during the day and Sleeping Beauty at night. Freedom Shores challenges you to join us in changing the world globally, making a child one pajama at a time. This packet includes our logo, the list of Ronald McDonald houses in Finland, list of children's hospitals in Finland, sample flyer, our Facebook page, our Twitter. We are working on a website. It is under construction. That ends the time.
Thank you very much. So what we'll do is we'll get this to the city clerk to make a copy so that it will be in the minutes and we'll have a record for it, and then I will take this to Finland as well.
Geez, how are we supposed to, follow that one? I'm not a cute little kid. Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. This is long, so I'm going to be taking my full 3 minutes. Thank you, Mayor Grant and Fire Chief Joseph, for coming to my classes. They've gotten their thank you letters already. Thank you very much. The kids loved it. Thank you to the mayor, the fire chief, Wally Majors, Julie Olbury, and all the others in Boynton that supported my wristband fundraiser this year. I've talked to you about these before. They were to raise money to buy trees. With your help, I raised $2,600. Originally, trees were to go to Haiti and Tanzania, but Forest Nation, the charity I used, was able to get something for 4 trees for $1 instead of the normal 2 trees for $1, but only if we planted in Tanzania because the water wars have started because of the lack of water. So there's a concentrated effort amongst a bunch of tree charities to tree up Tanzania as quick as possible. So because of that and because of your help, we were able to plant 10,400 trees in Tanzania. They should be going in starting this summer. And that brings my 4-year total to 16,600 trees that I've helped pay for. And you guys have been great in the city of Boynton about helping me with my fundraisers, so I wanted to give you an update. I want to say at the meeting the other night, I mentioned something about the parks. Please make sure the basketball court lights are on until midnight. I know the boys in my neighborhood are all looking to get college scholarships, so they spend all night, every night in the summer playing basketball and don't want to head home till at least midnight, and I am sure that's true of all the city parks. My next thing is I'm questioning what's up with One Boynton. I'm glad Las Ventanas is gone and One Boynton's coming in. They're painting everything white, which I'm very excited about. But then 500 Ocean is actually on Ocean Avenue, and they're painting things terracotta. Somehow that seems messed up, and I'm wondering why there's no oversight and why aren't they painting things in nice ocean colors if they're going to be on Ocean Avenue and have ocean in their name. And my last thing is I have some summer readings for you guys, because I know you miss my readings. You haven't had anything in a while. Butch spoke to you about GIS programs at the meeting last week, so one of these is about that and the other is about global warming. Thank you.
Susan, what kind of trees are they?
They plant trees that are appropriate for the area, so they're not going to send a pine tree to the wrong place. They're not going to send a an elm tree or something to the wrong place. So whatever is native and specific to Tanzania and Eastern Africa is what they will get. Forest Nation is excellent. There's a reason I use them. 100% of the money you donate actually goes to what you're donating it to. Julian Lennon, the rock star, it's his charity, and I'm actually think he's the one who matched our donation. I'd be surprised if, what they told me is true, that they just got a better deal on the trees. And so that's what happens. But all the money that was given to me for the wristbands will actually go to trees, and it makes a huge difference, and it's appropriate for the area. Forest Nation's a great charity if you're ever looking to donate for trees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question for the city manager in regards to the basketball courts being lit up until 12 o'clock at night. Do we close parks at 10 o'clock?
Most parks are dawn to dusk, are they not? We have a few that I think 10 at the latest. But Wally, tell me if I'm, because I think midnight might be a little bit late.
Wally, do you mind if we wait till the end of public audience to get the answer? We won't forget.
Yeah. My only thing was I see the kids out there, so why not?
All right. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jared Smith, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Delray Medical Center. First, to the children, that was a wonderful presentation, and we appreciate the empathy you have towards children. We'd like to make a donation of $500 to your cause of pajamas for every pediatric patient. So thank you. I would also like to thank the city on behalf of our 1,500 employees, 600 physicians, and 300 volunteers. I understand the city has recently recognized May as Trauma Awareness Month. We appreciate everything and the recognition that you have in support of our hospital. Just by way of background, since 1981, both St. Mary's and Delray Medical Center have served the county as trauma centers. Both hospitals are level 1 accredited, which is the highest achievement in the state of Florida, and both hospitals see both peds and adults in our trauma setting. For those of you that aren't as familiar with the trauma process, at the hospital there's trauma surgeons and staff, upwards of 30 staff at all times, ready to care for anybody that potentially comes in with a trauma incident. So we appreciate your support. Prior to the healthcare district forming in the late 80s, the mortality rate for a trauma patient was over 50%, and today it's less than 3%. We have some of the highest and best practices here in the county, and we appreciate everybody's support of that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, commissioners, executive staff, distinguished members of the audience. Rick Maharaj, RM Logitech, 1375 Gateway Boulevard, beautiful District 4. Hope everyone's doing well. I saw something go across the city's social media last week, and I wanted to just bring it to everybody's attention. A lot of times we hear things that are not going so well. In this case, it's the opposite. I wanted to commend Officer Nicole Lowshelder, I think I said that right, of the Boynton Beach Police Department. She was recognized as Police Officer of the Year. 5 years into the job, saved a couple lives. I don't think she's here tonight, but good job. So I'll bubble it up to Chief Katz. Thank you very much. And we'll switch gears to June 6th, which is an amazing day. The year is 1872, when pioneering feminist Susan B. Anthony was fined for voting in a presidential election in New York, after voting rights had been granted to African American males by the 15th Amendment. She attempted to extend the same rights to women. She led a group of women that voted illegally to test their status as citizens and was arrested and sentenced to pay $100. After her death in 1906, in 5 decades of tireless work, the Democratic and Republican parties both endorsed women's right to vote. So thank you, Susan B. Anthony. We'll jump to June 6th again, 1944, D-Day. The largest amphibious landing in history began early that morning when Allied forces landed in Normandy on the northern coast of France. American forces landed on 2 western beaches, Utah and Omaha, while British and Canadian troops landed further east. At the end of the day, 15,000 soldiers were killed and wounded. So I think respects to them would be appropriate. Other than that, that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, due to inclement weather, our D-Day event over at Veterans Park was canceled. So yes, you know what? I'd like to give just a moment of silence for those who have lost their lives in the fight for the freedom. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the audience. My name is Carlos Palacar. I live in Mirabella Villas. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Mirabella Villas. I happen to be the Chief or Chairman of Security over there. And I'm here to support your nuisance bill that is in your...
Carlos, if you have an item that's on the agenda, we will call you up on that item.
Well, as a member of Mirabella Villas, we just want to get on the record at this point,
okay,
that over the last year, at this particular, at the property adjacent to us, where is the Homing Inn, we obtained records from the Boynton Beach Police Department, which states that there have been 661 calls to this property, 36 overdoses, and 23 arrests. So, regardless of whether this nuisance ordinance passes or not, there's something that needs to be done with this property. This property is not a nuisance just for our families, which we have 300 plus units. So we have over 300 families that are living there, in addition to the community that is immediately behind of the Homing Inn, where I'm able to read in social media, there are people considering selling their properties to move out of this city, which I personally like, just because of this Homing Inn is such a problem with drug prostitutions and all kinds of crime coming over there. So again, we're here. I'm a member of the community. I'm trying to help my community, and I just want to let you know that on behalf of the Board of Directors of Mirabella Villas, we would like to have something done regarding the Homing Inn Hotel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, kids. Dr. Piotr Blas, 113 West Starra Lakes Drive, Boynton Beach, Florida, candidate for mayor. First of all, you kids are incredible. You're totally fantastic. And I'm an old math professor. I'm kind of famous for inventing the web. I'm going to put on my Facebook for the whole world to help you, because you are the best. And those kids do need the pajamas, and they need to feel, I know. So it's tremendous. Thank you very much. Number two, somebody just mentioned D-Day. Now, we have to have a sense of history. You're all too young here. There's somebody on this wall, Marty Trauger, who fought on D-Day. Marty Trauger was mayor of Boynton. How many of you, I'm sorry, does anybody on the days know the name Marty Trauger? Well, anyway, he was a D-Day veteran. Well, some of you do know him, yeah. And I think we should remember him. His name is also on that little plaque on the beach, on the green plaque, when they started the beach. He was there. Marty brought me here to this city, and he said, this is the best city in the world. Try to make it even better. So I've been trying ever since. I think that this particular board here is fantastic. As you all know, I'm just trying to get you ready for the next stage. So I do need to, I know all kinds of plans in this area, but I will just briefly remind, as I did to Justin Katz, what is in my heart. I recently looked at Frank Lloyd Wright's incredible building, the mile-high building. That was his dream. He is in heaven now, and the building still not is built. So that is in my heart. I want to see that kind of building here, just a little higher, not 1,609 meters, but 2,000 meters. So probably by the next month I will bring you some drawings and inspire you, or you will make some of you laugh, which is cool too. Something else, Ms. Romulus, you are so right. The TPS for 6 months is necessary, thank you. The plan that I'm working on, and you know I'm the white Haitian sensation, known as that, we're planning not to just get 6 months, we're going to move towards green cards and full citizenship for Haitians. In my heart, Haiti and United States will be one country. So I did work with Federica Wilson on the first TPS, but she cannot do it now. We have a new president. So, I'll be working with you. Let's see, is there anything else I'm missing? No, just I love you all guys, and God bless Boynton Beach, and especially the kids. Thank you.
My name is Willie Akins, and I'm the president of the Heart of Boynton. My address is 726 Northeast 1st Street, Boynton Beach, Florida. I first want to thank God, which is the head of my life, and also I'd like to give a great thanks to Commissioner McCray, because I know in District 2, I know he gets a lot of complaints, he gets a lot of problems, a lot of things like this here. But what you don't know about him is that all these complaints and things like that, we like to say thank you for what you do, how you do it, and the leadership that he gives to our community. I thank everyone for coming out for the Service development planning. I thank him for the meetings that he have. And sometimes, people just need to know that you're doing a great job. So I'm here to thank him and everybody that came out for the Service and Development Department, and just thank everyone. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, Mayor, I'd like to go back to the question that I asked staff.
For Wally?
And I'm going to say this prior to this, and I wanted to be put on the record on this, and this is about the third time that I have been stopped when I've asked a question. Commissioner Costello asked a question. He got his answer, and if it's going to be clear across the board, I think it should be fair for all of us. Can you answer the question now, Mr. Major?
Good evening, Wally Majors, Recreation and Parks Director. At those parks at which we have active amenities like basketball courts, lighted tennis courts, those parks will be open till 9 and in some cases till 10, which would be, for example, the case at Pence Park where we have the lighted basketball court. If we have no athletic amenities, no lighted ball fields, then the park will close at sunset.
Thank you, sir.
Is it possible to have it later on a Friday or Saturday, or is it just 9 o'clock throughout the summer?
The hours are established by my position, so ultimately, if that's the policy decision by the board, we can move in that direction.
Is it on a timer, and so they do automatically?
Again, the tennis courts, the volleyball courts, all those, yes, are on a timer.
Okay. Board, do you want to take this up now, or?
Let me ask a question. Excuse me, with Sarah Sims Park, would this affect the basketball courts up there?
Those, I believe, are 10 o'clock.
So, I guess if anyone from the community would like to have a certain park to have later lights, to come to the commission, and we will direct staff to, we will make a decision as a board to direct staff.
Well, let me just ask for clarification's sake. Is there a reason why Betty Thomas is up till midnight? Says Susan Oyer.
No,
so we don't know why it's still on.
It must be a problem with the timer. That timer should be going off at 9.
So that's not an intentional thing that's happening.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
I would suggest whatever this commission decides to do, that we give it to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to let them go over it and then bring back some recommendations to us.
I'd also recommend that we consult with PD, because I think one of the reasons why you don't leave places like these well lit late into the night is to avoid people congregating at places like this well late into the night. There's bound to be some equilibrium, but I don't know necessarily if keeping basketball courts and lights open till 11 or 12 p.m. is the thing we want to do to encourage children to be hanging out until 11 or 12 p.m. Parents got to take some responsibility to get their kids home.
All right, so I prefer Commissioner Casello, if anyone would like to have the park lights open later, that they take it up to at the P&D board meetings.
Recreation and Parks Board.
Recreation and Parks, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Not the PD. All right. All right. Next is administrative. First is appointment is for Vice Mayor Katz.
Library Board, I'd nominate Alice Warren.
Second.
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, saying none. Alice Warren is appointed to the Library Board. Next, we have the Planning and Development Board.
Yeah, Planning and Development Board. There's a handful of applicants. Usually, you don't end up with a choice. But I'm just gonna, for my own personal sake, I'm gonna start a trend when there's multiple applicants. If there is someone who currently sits as an alternate, I believe they've been kind of laying in wait for a position to open up. So I'm personally gonna make sure that alternates always get selected first when there is a choice. And for that reason, I'll choose current P&D alternate Stephen Palermo for this position.
Second.
All those in favor state by so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Motion passes 4-1.
I just want to comment on why I said nay. I believe that anyone who applies who is qualified should get equal opportunity to sit on those boards. Shouldn't matter whether they were alternate or not. So I don't necessarily agree with that logic, Commissioner Katz, Vice Mayor.
Just to extend that, after looking at the applications, he had by far the most qualifications. So in conjunction with the fact that he had over 30 years of experience in engineering and that he has already stepped up to the plate and said that he will serve in the event of an absence on that board, that was the total reason for my selection.
And it has been the practice of this city at alternates. They have been moved up from alternates into a permanent position. That's what we thank them for serving. I agree with you, sir.
And then I guess, City Manager, that means that an alternate position will be available for next meeting? Okay, so that anyone who did not get appointed has another opportunity to apply. And so that we still have positions available, 1 alternate on the Arts Commission. We have 3 regular and 2 alternate at the Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals, a regular and alternate at the Library Board, and an alternate at the Recreation and Parks Board.
While we're on the topic, I'd like to just mention about the Building Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Is there anything that we can do about that board to either A, make them a little more active, or B, possibly consider dissolving them? Because it's been over, 2-3 years since they've had anything to really do? It's just something we don't necessarily have to come to a decision today. It's just a thought.
So, to put that on a future agenda item?
Possibly.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put it on a future agenda item. Thank you. So we get some more information what they do. All right. Moving on to item 5B, authorize city commissioners to travel and hotel stay for the Florida League of Cities annual conference at the World Center Marriott in Orlando, Florida, August 17th to the 19th, 2017, and a workshop on August 16th, 2017. I would like to attend. I'm going to be there for the workshop on August 16th regarding my position as the Florida League of Cities Policy Committee. Is there anyone
Commissioner
else?
Casello, are you going? I'm just saying you serve on the board.
Yeah, I'd like to put my name in to go. I'll have to look at my calendar, what happens at the end of August. But as of tonight, I would like to put my name as going.
Usually we take how many, Lori, 3? Yes, sir. Okay, I don't want to go. I'm just saying if anybody else want to go besides you 2, it's fine with me. I'm just saying, 3 is fine. Motion to approve, 3.
Second.
Katz, would you like to go? Or Vice Mayor Katz?
That'll be like
Are you back to school already?
It's like the first week of the new school year, so it's probably not ideal. So if you were interested.
The only issue I have is that we don't pay for somebody that doesn't go. And so that's it.
I wouldn't mind going, but I just wanted to make sure I gave Vice Mayor Katz the opportunity in case he wanted to go.
Okay.
Do you want to go?
Yes, I would.
All right, then we'll go with the 3 people. We'll go with the mayor, Casello, and Commissioner Romulus. That takes care of that.
May I have a second?
Second?
Yep. All those in favor state it by saying aye.
Aye.
Next is appoint voting delegate for the Florida League of Cities Annual Conference, August 17th to the 19th.
Since you all going to be there, motion that either one of you three vote.
I'll be more
Have to
than
choose somebody
I'll be
else.
more than happy to do that, unless Commissioner Casello or Romulus would.
That's fine, Mr. Mayor. I think that'd be a great opportunity for you.
Okay, thank you.
Motion
I
that the
nominate-
mayor be the
yeah.
voting delegate.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Next is authorize the mayor's travel to Rauma, Finland on June 21st, 2017 to lead a delegation to meet the mayor of Rauma.
Second, and for discussion, this is no charge to the city. This is why I'm going to approve this here. I'm glad that you're going, sir. They came to us. It's a nice gesture to go back.
All right.
Have safe travels.
All right, thank you. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have the consent agenda. Are there any items to pull?
Mr. Mayor, can I pull A as in apple?
And I also would like to pull item E. Is there any others? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we'll wait for, except for the pulled items?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor state by saying so by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Proposed resolution number R17-052, approve and authorize the city manager to sign a lease and easement agreement with Florida Power and Light to enable installation of solar canopies at Boynton Beach Oceanfront Park and Congress Avenue Barrier Free Park.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Jeff Livergood, Director of Public Works and Engineering. I'm glad that you pulled this because I think this is a pretty exciting item. If Terry's in the back, I think that you might have a PowerPoint presentation available for us that we could show briefly.
The man behind the curtain?
What we have before us, and I have Sophia Eccleston and Anush Chokshi from Florida Power and Light with me. They'd like to talk briefly, but what we're accomplishing here is several months ago, FPL came to the city as part of an Solar Now program to place solar trees, and we're going to be placing 2 solar trees at our oceanfront park. The solar trees are items that we're going to place to demonstrate how the solar power can be placed back into the electric grid. As part of that program, they also offered cantilever panels. The city explored the option for the cantilevered panels with FPL, and we found that there is the potential for the installation of these cantilevered panels, the solar panels at Oceanfront Park as well, and we're going to get multiple benefit from it. I'll let FPL talk a little bit about the benefit to the grid and the community and how we work with the residents to do this. But from a city perspective, anybody that knows Oceanfront Park well, you know that we have shade sails and steel poles. And since those have been placed about 8 years ago, the sails and the poles have proven to be a maintenance headache. In any minor wind, we've had problems with the sails remaining. And the poles in a very ocean environment have proven to be problems with the maintenance from corrosion of the poles. We have an opportunity with FPL to replace the shade sails both north and south of the main plaza area with the solar panels. The solar panels will serve 2 functions, well 3 actually, aside from the power. From a city perspective, they will provide shade on the seating areas that are very valued by the public and overlooking the ocean. The shade sails now provide that shade. The solar panels will do that as well. When you look at a cantilevered panel, anytime that you can balance that cantilevered panel so that it has equal weight on both sides, we're able to place additional solar panels on the west side of these items and these of the foundations, and be able to shade the first row of parking on the upper parking lot as well. I'm excited because we're getting rid of a maintenance problem. I'm doubly excited because we've been able to partner with FPL to do so. The cantilevers will be placed, the solar panels will be placed at FPL expense. no cost to the city. FPL will maintain them, I believe, for 20 years. 25? We'll take them. I'll go for 50. And they will also be paying approximately $4,000 per year to lease the space where the panels are placed. The power will go into the grid. Secondly, as part of this process, Anush suggested that we might be able to place another solar panel at our Congress Avenue Barrier Free Park. And we've located a spot within that park where we can cover parking there as well with the solar panels. So I'm equally as excited about what we can do there. Also, from an engineer's perspective, I think it's an excellent opportunity to educate the public how solar panels work. We've worked carefully with FPL to create educational kiosks that will be placed at these two locations to graphically show the public how solar works. So we're very excited about this. But I have my reps here from FPL, and they have just been awesome partners in this process. I hope you can tell that I'm excited about this, and I think this is really cool. I hope that they're able to find the presentation. Or now we can just pass.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Anush Choksi. I work in the Florida Power and Light Development Group. Very excited to be here again. Since we last talked in January, Boynton Beach, the participants in the Solar Now program increased approximately 40%. So now there's over 450 participants in the program, which is really a great milestone and great step forward to advancing clean energy, and really shows the commitment by the constituents to support solar and support clean energy. For those of you that are not familiar, or just a brief reminder of the Fpl Solar Now program, it is a program that allows our customers to voluntarily contribute $9 a month on their electric bill to support solar in Florida. FPL then takes those contributions and deploys installations, small-scale installations like the solar trees that are going in as we speak at the Boynton Beach Oceanfront Park, and now the solar canopies that we hope to deploy in the very near future. So, as I mentioned last time, there were a number of benefits to the city of Boynton Beach. Number one, we're able to bring solar into the community. We're able to raise solar awareness, and it certainly aligns to the other sustainability initiatives that Boynton Beach has as far as sustainability and renewable energy programs. So, unfortunately, we don't have the display on the wall, but I had a really nice rendering of the actual canopy structures that we were proposing at the Oceanfront Park. I'll try to describe them in the sense that they are a architectural solar. They're a very attractive design. The panels are glass-on-glass panels. They're frameless panels. The structures are aluminum structures, and they have a very nice progressive feel to them. Definitely departs from the industrial look and feel that may be associated with solar that's typically just deployed at a larger scale. So, with that, I'll open it up to any questions, but we're definitely very excited about the program and the opportunity.
Thank you. That's why one of the reasons why I pulled this after reading. I think this is great, and I commend FPL for stepping up and being our partner in this. I hope that we can expand on this. And what I mean by that is that with this town square project potentially there's so much potential for solar power that we can incorporate in some of these designs here. And I hope that the city, and Jeff does get excited easily, but that we can work together and incorporate this in some of the designs. Just one question. The power that these panels generate, where does it go back onto the grid? Is that where it goes?
Yes, with the solar trees, they're going back to the building, but with the solar canopies, it's a larger, it's almost 200 kilowatts at Oceanfront Park, and that'll go directly back to the grid.
Thank you so much.
I have a question. So with that, in regards to that question, does that mean that we are now going to move into the direction of lowering people's energy bills?
It's already the lowest in the state.
Well, I'm definitely looking for more. I don't mind some savings.
It definitely helps the emissions profile in the state.
All right, and you want to go?
Oh, sorry. So here's a view of the two areas that we're focusing on at Oceanfront Beach Park. There's the both areas currently have the shade structures, but our proposal is to, not only cover the benches that are there, but now because of the engineering and sort of the innovative design of the structures, we're able to also cover the parking areas with less of a footprint, a foundation footprint.
This gives you some idea of what the panels will look like, but we've taken a step further. Oh, this is the original. Okay, that gives you an idea of what they'll look like. And the other location that we're looking at is Congress Barrier Free, and you can see the blue rectangle on the row of parking that's closest to the park. Gives you some idea where they'll be.
My question is, and not a question, my take is that when we do Sarah Sims' master plan, this might be something that we would like to look at. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, and let me jump on a soapbox for a second. I am truly a believer in solar and alternative energy, and I'm glad Boynton Beach is on this bandwagon and that we're moving in this direction. And this is something I look forward to. The jobs of the future are going to be created from this industry. People will be able to be employed and really do a lot of big things with the solar energy movement. And as the Sunshine State, I feel like we are actually behind in the movement that we should have been making for solar energy. So, I'm proud to be a solar panel owner. Sorry, FPL, but I pay about $20 a month for my FPL bill, and I'm proud to say that. So that's the movement that we are going in, and I believe that this is all good for the good.
Anybody that likes construction, head out to Oceanfront Park. The solar trees are going in right now, so you can see the plaza area just to the south side of the concession stand. We're getting the foundations poured. We have 2 base foundations for benches. We have foundation for 2 connection points so people can charge their wireless devices. That'll be directly from the solar power generated. It's really cool.
And I actually would like to thank the residents of Boynton Beach. Like you said, there was 450 new people involved?
No, there's 450 total, about 200 new.
Okay, and within the city of Boynton Beach?
Yes.
So just like to thank all of those people who spend the extra $9 a month for these things to come within the city of Boynton Beach. So it's not only FPL, it's also those residents that put in the $9 for the Solar Now project. So thank you for allowing us to do that. Once I saw it, I thought, okay, even though I'm not going to get, I'm going to get some benefit from it, but not on my electric bill. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
The reason why I pulled item E, the contract with Hartzell Painting, it's what I realize is that it is for the end of this fiscal year, and that the city staff said that starting next year in the 2017-18 that we can start utilizing local and painters and having the community wealth building program. And so I just wanted to make this aware to the board that this is the last time we may see this, because we will try to get local hirees for painting next year. So may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none. Moving on. Next is bids and purchases over $100,000. Approve utilizing the City of Miami's contract to furnish and install emergency equipment for law enforcement vehicles on an as-needed basis from Dana Safety Supply, Inc. Estimated annual amount of $175,000. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passed. We have no code compliance, no public hearing, no city manager reports, no unfinished business. Now we're on to new business. Discussion, direction regarding draft amendments to the Workforce Housing Program.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. Andrew Mack, Director of Development. I'm equally excited to present the workforce housing draft ordinance for you. Staff, based on our last meeting on April 19th, has done some great work and has a draft ordinance for your review and discussion. I have a quick presentation just to go through here. A synopsis of our timeline that gets us to this date. In September, we put out proposals for update to our 2006 housing study. We engaged Metro Study in October of 2016. The workforce housing ordinance was suspended in November of 2015. Our first draft and second draft were received in February and March of 2017. The final draft was received in March of 2017. We had our workshop on April 19th with the Commission to discuss the workforce housing program, and then we completed the draft ordinance on May 26th. So some of those objectives from the workshop, we had broken it up into two phases. We talked about a short-term amendment and a long-term amendment. The short-term amendment was to provide flexibility in the workforce housing program, encourage the participation through incentives, and we're going to update some of the outdated data. Some of the long-term amendments that we were discussing is a comprehensive review of the land development regulations. We're going to look at an overlay districts or regulations, possibility of micro units, flexible lot sizes, accessory units, and possibility of parking reductions. That's the long term. It'll be a future amendment that we'll work on afterwards. Some of the key changes in the current program: we converted the program from a mandatory to a voluntary program. We did that by utilizing the downtown TOD district, which is a 25% density bonus, which is going to be an incentive to do workforce housing. We did an adjustment to the set-aside percentages to increase the participation. We also added a in-lieu fee for the rental projects, and we did an adjustment to the in-lieu fees based on the current market data. Some other considerations that I'd like to discuss are also deed restrictions. These are some of the feedback that we've gotten from developers and other stakeholders that deed restrictions of 30 years are somewhat inflexible, so that is something that we'd like to see some discussion on. And then whether you are okay with the household income targets, where our current ordinance is 25% goes to low income and 75% of the units would go to moderate income. Okay.
Angelo, just not to interrupt you here, but that those percent, can you back up one slide?
Yes.
Just the question I have is 25% of workforce units for low income. Is that just in the DOT section, that 25% bonus that this applies to?
Correct. Any of the units that are created through the workforce housing program, 25% of those units would have to go to low income.
Okay, so what is low income?
Those are anyone from anyone with a 50 to 80% area median income. So
which is determined
based on the income level. Yeah, it's
okay.
Based on the area median income established by HUD.
Okay.
And I believe that's 46,000 or so?
I think it's more, starting at 50 is 20-something thousand. At 50% is the average median income is 46,518.
Right, that's what I was asking.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what were the percentages you said?
So it would be 50% of the 46.
Okay. And that's what would be considered low income?
That's where we'd start.
Got
so
it.
They would qualify from between 50 and 80% of the area median income. So.
Since they already stopped you for questions, let me go ahead and ask this one question that we need to clarify. What is the definition here in this city, the city of Boynton, for workforce housing? What is the definition? What do y'all call workforce housing?
Well, again, according to the definition, we're looking at moderate income, which is 80 to 120% of area median income. So that would be anyone that's in that range of the area median income for the city of Boynton Beach, based on the census data, is 46,518, I believe. So you can have 80% to 120% of that income, you would be considered workforce and qualify for the program of the 75% of the units.
Okay, can you just draw up a definition and get it to me so that the next time John Doe come and say, what do y'all consider workforce housing here in the city of Boynton? This is what we consider workforce housing. A lot of people say, what is workforce housing?
Correct.
What's your definition?
Absolutely.
And then, again, let me, for clarification, the way workforce housing works is that they are getting either a reduced rent or a reduced purchase price for the units.
It's based on income, correct. The rents are established by the income levels.
Okay, so it's a percentage based upon the proven income.
Correct, for that area. Correct.
And so do we qualify their income based upon past tax returns or salary, or are people going to try to hide their income to get into this program?
Typically, we'd look at tax returns or W-2s or check statements, whatever's available.
Okay.
Andrew, if there's multiple people applying for a unit or an apartment, how is it decided who gets it? If they're all equally qualified?
That would be something that I believe the developers would establish as a part of their program. So typically, it would probably be a first come, first serve. That's typically what we see.
Okay.
There's usually a waiting list for these types of homes.
Correct. Okay. Sorry for the size of the slide here to see it, but on this list here is a fee calculation for the in lieu fees for the rental development. What you see here is you have the market rate. There's a column here on the left that shows the market rate. I got my pointer. It's a little harder to see. Right here, there's the market rate, and then you have the workforce rates. So on the left, you have the monthly gross rent per unit is $1,558, and for a workforce unit, that would be $1,154. We used those rates to capitalize them, and we came up with a affordability gap. An affordability gap is basically the difference between what the market bears and what the workforce could pay for rent. And so that was capitalized, and we established it for a 30-year mortgage. We converted the rental to 30-year mortgage payments, and it was an affordability gap of $91,901. And on the right-hand side here is I have a chart. I know it's hard to see. So I have at the top here, you had 100% of the affordability gap would be the $91,000 down to 10%, which would be the $8,000 number. What we were proposing was an in lieu fee calculation of $18,380, which is 20% of that affordability gap. That would be for the rental. On the for sale products, you have based on the Metro study, we had $346,000 as the average price, the median price for a home in Boynton Beach, and based on income at 100% AMI, using the county's methodology, we do it 3 times the household income. That would put it at $138,534. That would make it a $207,000 affordability gap between market rate and what an affordable workforce housing unit would be. At 100%, we went with the median, the middle. That gives an in lieu fee payment of $41,493. And again, that's the chart here that shows it at 100% down to 10%, and we're showing at the proposed rate at 20%.
So if a developer wanted to opt out of the workforce housing, he'd pay that $41,000 per unit?
Correct. And that would go into a housing trust fund that the city could use to either purchase market rate units and use them for workforce housing, or fund another workforce housing project.
Okay. Also, he could opt out for off-site.
Correct.
Okay.
There's 4 different opt-out options. There's payment in lieu fees. There's donating land. You can purchase market rate, or you can construct them off-site.
Okay. Thank you.
What I provided here on this slide is a sample project. It shows the calculation here. This is one that would be in a sample project that would be in the downtown. So you have a 3.379 acre site at 80 units per acre would create 270 units. Of that, 25% at 20 units per acre would create 67 workforce housing units. And again, on this right-hand side, I'm sorry for the size of this, at 100%, that would be the 67 units, down to the 10% at 7. We're proposing a percentage at 40%, which would be 27 units. And if you use the current proposed calculations at 27 units for a rental project, the in lieu fee would be $18,380 per unit. A total of $496,000 paid into the Housing Trust Fund, which would give you an average cost about $7,500 per unit of the additional density.
My question is, if a citizen would like to get a copy of this report, where would they pick it up at?
I can make it available through the city manager's office through Eleanor.
Thank you, because I know some people are going to need one. All right.
Andrew, how did you come up with the 40%? Was that just an arbitrary number, or is that?
We looked at the county, as you know, the county's been going through their workforce housing study, and they had some extensive due diligence done by their consultant to look at sample projects. So this is based on looking at those projects to kind of balance out what would be equitable, not to make the percentage, not to make it too high or too low, so that's kind of getting a sweet spot. Because if you make it too high, then nobody's going to participate. If we make it too low, everybody's going to pay into the fund. So we're trying to find the sweet spot, and that was what we aimed to do.
Okay. Thank you.
A couple more slides. So in summary, the amendments will create a voluntary workforce program. It's going to provide the city flexibility through the housing program, encourage participation through the incentives, and provide a balanced approach to obtain workforce housing units. Next steps, after discussion here on the dais, whatever recommendations you have or changes, we would go to the Planning and Development Board in July, and City Commission meeting, first hearing on August 15th and the second hearing on September 5th. And
You have on there August 15th, 1918, is that right? Go back up there. I don't have my glasses, but I do see 1.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. And with that, I open up to questions.
All right, so I have a few.
Sure.
40% of the units, to clarify, it's 40% of the units that they get from the transit-oriented district, not just 40% of their entire project, correct?
Correct. And the reason initially I did look at doing it across all the units, but...
Please speak up, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Initially, we looked at using all the units, so I opted to go with a percentage of just the density bonus units, because that way, if a developer was to come in and they couldn't achieve 100% of the density, that way we would capture all that. So it's not fair to, let's just say you're only able to obtain 2 units, but then they were required to do 40% or 10% of their entire project to do it. So
give me a realistic number of what that looks like. So a developer comes in, they want to build a 100-unit apartment complex. We give them the 25% TOD, which is they get an extra 25 units, so now 125.
Correct.
And of those 25 extra units,
40% of that
them,
would be
so
correct.
That would basically mean we'd get 12,
yeah, roughly.
11?
11.
11.
Yeah, so the example I gave you was the 67 units. Of that, 27 of them would have to be workforce housing.
And of those 11, I'm not great on math here, but at 8, 9 would be workforce, and the other 2 would be low income.
Right, 25%, correct.
Okay. All right. For the payment in lieu, the $41,000,
correct.
Does that number change for the number of bedrooms that are going into the unit? Is it like one bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom? Does that number go up for payment in lieu of?
Not as proposed, no.
It's just
a flat rate, correct.
Flat rate, any unit, doesn't matter.
Because we looked at the median household, the median price of houses in Boynton Beach. So it's a range. It includes townhomes, it includes condos, all that's included.
Okay.
So,
from my understanding, the average housing cost of Boynton Beach is higher than Palm Beach County, no?
Average housing cost.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. So if that's the case,
No,
why are we...
The median income is higher, yes. Right, their median income is $66,580, and Boynton Beach's median income was $47,580 according to Metro.
Right, but here we're talking about not income, but we're talking about the value of homes. Yes. Give me 1 second. Let me look at this. Low-income households at 55%, 80% of the Palm Beach County median household income. Okay, so we are talking about the income, not the value of the homes.
Right.
Okay, so so the number for Boynton Beach is lower than Palm Beach County.
Correct.
So that allows for lower income people to also be able to participate better. Okay.
Correct. So that our affordability gap will be larger than what Palm Beach County has.
Okay, that's what I wanted to emphasize. Okay, that is all for me. Thank you.
My questions is that this only applies to mixed-use land designations or zoning?
Correct.
Okay, so it does not apply to the high-density residential within the TOD?
Correct.
Okay. And so nothing would be applying to duplexes, townhomes, or two-story condos?
Correct.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
What would be your recommendation for the deed restriction if 30 is viewed as too substantial?
You know, I think a lot of the flexibility you see would probably be about 15. I think that's kind of the sweet spot. I think in general the developers don't like to see the deed restrictions at all, and right now I don't have a mechanism to provide that assurance of how you get the program to stay. You could do developers agreements, but their biggest objection is the actual deed restrictions on the property. That's their biggest. So at 15, it seems to be a little bit more palatable to them. At 30, they seem to object, but it's a long-term commitment.
I'd be in favor of shaving that down to somewhere in that area, 15, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower. But yeah, the 30 seems prohibitive. Someone might just not want to build a project because they know for the next 3 decades that a percentage of their units are locked. So,
and it came up. I was also in attendance at the Palm Beach County Housing Summit, and they did talk about the deed restrictions and the average life of somebody when they purchase a house. They usually stay in a house 7 years. That's the average length someone would stay in a house. So at 15 years, you would be in 2 cycles that house would stay affordable. That would keep it in that range. At 30 years, you're looking at 4 cycles. Roughly.
I would recommend, at the will of the commission, putting a lower number on that restriction.
I'm okay with the 15 years as suggested.
I'm not okay with that.
I support 15.
Commissioner Casello?
I support 15.
Okay. So
I believe the recommendation by Vice Mayor Katz was to find a number above or somewhere in between, not just 15. So let's go on the higher end as much as we can. I don't think that, if we're only doing it for two homeowners, then what would we have accomplished by starting the program in the first place? The purpose of this is to not just allow for affordable housing now, but to create for the future. So if we can do that and we can allow for our children and people when they come back from college that are young now, maybe they're teenagers in high school, they can come back and afford to live here, then that's the purpose of this program. So I don't see the value of reducing that number.
What we can do is I'll reach out to some of the developers. I have not had a chance to send the draft ordinance out to stakeholders, the actual amendments as they're drafted. I was waiting to get feedback from the commission. So once I do that, I'll send it out and get some feedback from them and see what a number that fits, and we'll bring it back to you on the first reading and we can discuss it at that time.
Okay, and my other comment, Andrew, is how much incentive have we given to sway the developers to actually build the units within their development rather than just doing the in lieu of?
I'm not sure what.
How much consideration have we given to making sure it's a sweeter deal for them to build the units within their development rather than just saying, oh, here's a check for $50,000 per unit, I'd rather just pay you off and go somewhere else. I want to create the diversity of income within the downtown and within these areas that we're allowing for this, not just pay it off and then we create segments outside of the downtown and we have a very monogamous downtown unit.
That's where the the percentage of how many units you get to the affordable. So you're at a little over 1-to-1, and is a good incentive to do it on site, and as well as the fees. If that's the balance of it. If the fee's too high, then no one's going to want to participate. But if you leave them too low, then everyone's going to pay the fee. So I think we're at that sweet spot. I think you'll get good participation if they can do it, because a lot of the times right now, some of the product that they have would be market rate. So it makes sense for them to actually, instead of paying the $500,000 to the fund, they always have units that they would produce on site. So they have units, even if they did smaller units, they could get them into that market range. So I think what we have proposed would be is a good balance to it.
Okay.
I don't know what else we could do in the current ordinance to incentivize it anymore, or to disencourage somebody to pay the in lieu fees. So
I think before we start making, any incentives or direction like that, we need to let it go out now to the developer and see what their requests would be and see how they feel about what we're trying to do and bring it back in the first reading. We can make our decisions then. I'm just saying this is just a draft form that you're really bringing to us.
Yes. Yep, it'll go to the P&D board, and we'll invite them to the board. They can have discussion at the P&D board as well. During the other public hearing process, we'll invite them to the meetings, and we'll solicit some review and input from them as well during that whole process. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Andrew and
Thank you.
staff.
All right. Thank you.
Now you can leave tomorrow and go on your vacation with his wife on a nice cruise
Thank
for their 20th wedding anniversary.
Happy
A
anniversary.
well-deserved vacation.
Thank you. All right.
Next is, I request to discuss the city's legal services. Because of Commissioner Casello's asking to see all the invoices for attorney's fees, I saw that we're currently paying $195 an hour for both partners and associates for our current attorneys, and $125 for paralegal, where the other attorneys that we're utilizing, Lewis, Stroud, and Deutsch, is $165 an hour for the partner. Roberts, Reynolds, Bedard, and Terrizio is $140 for the associate, $165 for the partner, and Robert Ocon, which is $150 for the partner or owner. And so that is kind of why I wanted to know if we could look into the contract that we have with the current legal representation to see if we can get a discounted rate, seeing that the amount of services that we do use on a consistent basis, or put it out to RFP. And so that is why I bring it up here to the board to see your opinions on these items and get your input.
All right, I'll go first after that rain subsides. My whole take is that really I'm probably the longest one that's been working with Mr. Shuroff and his company and everything, and right now I'm in favor of what has been going on and what we have been doing here in this city. I feel like that we are in line, and I feel like we have an attorney and a set of attorneys who's working diligently with us. Anytime I have concerns or calls, they get on the phone, they call me back and everything, and I'm in favor of letting everything remain where they are. I'm just one person, but I'm not in favor of moving forward at this point.
I would just add that I think we have some of the best legal representation in all South Florida with the firm that we have currently now. But in the form of transparency, when was the last time that have we ever gone over the contract? How was the contract even awarded? Is it on a yearly basis, or is it just continuing on a continuing basis? Anybody can answer that.
I could answer that. I work at the discretion of the commission. I work on a meeting-by-meeting basis. It doesn't take a year.
Okay, so do you have any, because I don't know, do you have any formal written contract?
I don't have a formal written contract. My contract or the dollar amounts for running the legal department are folded into the annual budget that I submit to the commission for budget approval. So it lists all those elements of what the charges are for and how they're charged.
So you work at the will of this commission then? So this commission could come in tomorrow and just say, okay, we're going a different direction?
That's correct.
I didn't know that.
I don't suggest that.
Oh, no. I'm not suggesting that either. This is just for, informational purposes only. But the rates are the rates are what they are. And I think we get our dollar's worth. Let's put it that. We get premium service. It's a premium price that we're paying for that service. And I really don't have that, have an issue. I know I have brought it up in the past on the legal, legal, that we explore the possibility of in-house lawyers. We've had that discussion, Jim, a couple of times, the pros and cons of that going that way, or putting it out for an RFP. It goes back to like, if it's not broke, let's not fix it.
Well, I'd only point this out, and the mayor knows this because he pointed it out to me once, is that in addition to the hourly rate for certain types of work, and I've been through that with you, Commissioner, for the retainer, the mayor pointed out to me one time it worked out to less than $100 an hour. So,
the only thing,
balance of things, the
only thing that gets me fired up a little bit is that how we farm these out to other lawyers to litigate in court. And that's the part that gets troubling for me. But we've talked about that also, and now that you're taking more responsibility on that on the litigation side of it, so I think we're heading in the right direction.
Anyone less from the commission? Okay.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Jerry Taylor, 1086 Southwest 26th Avenue. Just a couple of thoughts I wanted to share you on this issue. Institutional knowledge is one of the most valuable assets any organization can have. And I will tell you that having had the experience of working with your current attorney, I can't tell you, I could go through, but tell you in the 13 years that I worked with him, I know of millions of dollars that he has saved this city in lawsuits that have been brought against this city. Also, I would tell you that as an elected official, there are many pitfalls that you can run into as an elected official. You need good legal advice. And I can tell you many times in the 13 years that I served, before I would make a motion or think of an idea, I thought, gee, this would be great for the city. I would go to the attorney and say, what about this? And he could counsel me. The advice and counsel he gave me many times saved me from going off on a wild tangent that would have probably cost the city money or something like that. So that's invaluable to you. And I know that several of you, when I say institutional knowledge, you get that from having years of experience in an organization, so you have the history of what's gone on before you and that you may not have knowledge of. And I know that 3 of you up there currently now have just a little over a year experience, so this is a great asset to have you to look back. One thing just as an example I can give you, when you're dealing with union contracts, what has happened in the past? What kind of offers have been made to the unions? What have they liked? What have they not liked? It saves you time and effort and money to come to good, solid decisions. And if you should, as a city, have to go to court, the best thing you can have is really good representation. And I can tell you the firm that Mr. Sheriff works for has outstanding credibility with the courts in Palm Beach County. So I would suggest that you have something good, stick with it.
I'd like to ditto what the former mayor said, but not only in Palm Beach County, but they have nice relationships in Broward County as well, since I work in Broward County, and I do know their firm down there. Thank you.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I think former Mayor Taylor kind of summed up what would be my biggest concern about making any sort of changes is that once somebody's worked in a job long enough, they possess a wealth of information, and any question I've ever asked from City Legal has been responded immediately with a definitive legal response and a history lesson on that particular topic, whether it's in the city of Boynton Beach or other municipalities in our county or the county to the south. So yeah, I take a lot of comfort in the institutional knowledge and the experience and just the historical knowledge. Again, I've learned a lot from our city attorney, so I'm content kind of to what's going on. If the rates aren't comparable to other rates that we see in the county, then, you know, maybe that's a discussion to be had, but I don't know enough about legal costs to make such a claim for personally.
I did get a call from Channel 12, and they stated that the Delray city attorney gets $210 an hour. So it is more than what we are. That city attorney is charging more. Like I said, I can't talk about this without the sunshine. So that's why I brought it up today, because we are going into budget season, and when Jim is going to set his yearly budget, that's why I wanted to bring it up. Commissioner Romulus, do you have any comments?
At this point in time, I believe everybody has already stated what I feel. I think we have a good representation going on right now for the city. I really see no point in rocking the boat. It was a good conversation to bring up. We're always kind of thinking about it in the back of our heads anyway, so good checkup.
All right. Next, we're going on to update on the impact of the proposed increase in the homestead exemption as recently passed in the recent legislative session. Lori?
Yes, sir. I think Commissioner Costello had requested that we place this on the agenda. I don't know, Commissioner, did you want to open up discussion on it?
Just real quickly, I think that I was up there in Tallahassee when they passed this, and it's easy for the state legislators up there in Tallahassee to pass laws and policy up there and bring it down to on the local level, but it's us up here who get elected locally that have to enforce these type of things. You know, if I'm a state legislator up in Tallahassee and I vote for this, why wouldn't I? It sounds like a great idea. I mean, it's, another $25,000 in tax benefits to the homeowner. It's a win-win if I'm up there in Tallahassee. But it's not a tax increase, it's a tax shift, people, because this $1.4 million is going to have to be made up at some point, somehow, some way. I think that we're projecting maybe about an extra $2 million in tax revenue due to the increase in property values. And as this stands right now, we're going to lose $1.4 million of that right off the bat. It's going to be on the ballot, and if I was a betting man, which I am, I would say this is going to pass. I really do. But I think that it's incumbent upon us as elected officials that we've got to tell the people the pros and cons on this, what it's really going to entail. The services that we provide here in the city come with a price. It's the trash pickups, the parks, the infrastructure, everything that we do as a city comes with a price tag. So to lose $1.4 million of the $2 million projected that we're supposed to be gaining this year will be a big hit to the service that we can provide, and the money's going to have to come from somewhere. I wasn't here, unfortunately, but you sat up here during the budget, the open budget thing, and people wanted, they wanted sidewalks, they wanted lights, and but the question is, where does this money come from? It comes from your taxes. That's where this money comes from. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It's not magical. So I think it's incumbent upon us to project that this is not a decrease in your taxes. It's just a tax shift at some point, either through millage rates or fees, that this $1.43 million is going to have to be made up in some form or fashion. Thank you.
I'd like to go ahead and put my comments in. Commissioner Costello, I'm glad you said that if you was up at state office, I'm just saying you will be running, and I'm just glad that we are putting it on the record so that we could watch how you be voting. Sir, if this ever comes up, I will be expecting a nay. Thank you.
And one of the things that we do when we propose our new budget is that we show the millage rate for the previous year. Most times it is a decrease in the millage rate. This time it will be an increase in the millage rate if this thing passes. And so, we have the option of showing of raising the millage rate, which we are not wanting to do, but it's a decision that the commission has to make in order to provide services to the city. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I guess just, it's coming up on the ballot eventually in the fall. And I would just advocate for voting against it. It's a scam that a capital city and a group of legislators run every year, and they make you believe your taxes are going down, and they will by a marginal amount, and then they take all your tax dollars anyway and they give it to places in North Florida and Central Florida, and they never give it back to Palm Beach County or our municipalities. It's constantly referred to as a donor county. We pay way more in taxes than they ever give back to us. We're a donor school district. We pay way more in taxes to the state, from all of our property values. So we just, anytime they claim they're cutting taxes to help the residents of Florida up in Tallahassee, they're not talking about South Florida. We pay lots of taxes that go towards lots of things in North Florida, and again, everyone wants to pay less taxes. I don't want to pay any taxes if I had a choice, but at the same time, we're going to have to ultimately raise local taxes to cover that. And again, the legislators up there don't give a damn about that, because their constituents up in the northwest part of the state get what they want from a legislature that's beholden to those local interests. So I would advocate voting against it, and it'd be a shame to lose almost $1.5 million of $2 million in increased revenue. They're gonna basically steal 75% of our increased property tax revenue, under the promise that you'll save taxes, but it'll cost you in the end. So, I would not support this when it comes up.
Commissioner Romulus?
I just want to kind of put my 2 cents on this in terms of, this probably sounds counterintuitive from us as elected officials, basically telling you not to support something that would ultimately decrease your taxes. But again, the point that we're making is that it's a wash. When you look at the actual expenses, when you balance it out, the $25,000 that you would end up saving on your homestead exemption will end up coming back to bite you, literally, in the added millage, the added taxes that we as a city would have to charge in order to still come up with the bottom line of giving the resources and giving the actual services that you as residents, you as shareholders and stakeholders in this city expect from us. Your fire services, your police services, your trash services, all these things would now have to be compensated and made up in some other way, shape, or form. And we have issues. We know we have issues. We have situations where we need police presence. But if we're then going to shell out $1.4 million, how do we account and pay for these salaries? How do we pay for these pensions? So again, it probably sounds counterintuitive coming from us to tell you, no, don't vote for less taxes. But again, if you look at the actual balance sheet of how it works out, this is why we say it. So I don't want to have you think that we're up here being two-faced or hypocritical. It's really because we see the lay of the land, and again, we kind of see what's going on in the backroom kind of politics that's happening with this vote that Tallahassee took. And I think sometimes we have these legislators that are up there, they forget that they forget about the normal people who are here, and sometimes we have to make sure we remind them that we are here, we exist, we pay taxes for a reason, and they needed to take very care of their constituents. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
And just also to note that $1.4 million estimate that was provided by the property appraiser is based on today's values.
Right.
And looking at this time next year, we're probably approaching close to a $2 million impact of loss of revenue.
Yeah.
And we'll get updated numbers next year by the property appraiser, but it's going to go up.
All right. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Jim, proposed ordinance number 17-012.
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 15 of the city's Code of Ordinances, deleting Article 8 in its entirety and replacing with a new Article 8 to be entitled Chronic Nuisance Property Code, providing a statement of legislative intent, providing for identifying properties that attract or allow nuisance activities, requiring corrective action by property owners, providing procedures for enforcement, providing for notice, hearing rights and appeals, providing for assessment and recovery of costs, fines, and fees related to enforcement, providing for levy and collection of non-ad valorem assessments, providing for conflict severability, codification, and an effective date.
All right. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. Okay. The commission wants to open up to the public first and then have a discussion?
I have a comment
All right.
about that. Alexandra Wilson, 1202 Northwest 5th Street. I was really excited when the city said that they were going to use the residents to rebrand the communities. With this law, it's not doing such a thing. It's kind of, I would say, holding back, particularly some of the things in my district. That's District 2. I've been talking to some of the residents that standing on the corners of the stores, asking them, can they properly congregate in certain areas, and they have told me that the city, time and time again, that the city city as well as the police have permitted them not to congregate in certain parts or in certain homes. So with this law is basically put another strain on the residents in District 2 neck, where we can't properly congregate in certain places. And I'm not for this law. There's a lot of talk about the actual fish, but there's no talk about the actual affection of the water, the things that come from these type of things. The gentleman mentioned about the home end, but he's not mentioning about there's no low income homes in the city of Boynton. So I totally understand that there's a problem with individuals standing out in front of the stores, but what I'm asking this board is that this board look at more community, I guess, more community ordinance to where we actually can move towards an actual community city and not a stand-alone, free-for-all city.
Thank you.
Okay, my comment is, since I represent District 2, it said an explanation of the request, and it says some real properties require disproportionate police, fire, and code enforcement services and cause an unnecessary burden on taxpayers of the city. Since property owners are ultimately responsible for the conduct and actions that occur on their property, disproportionate calls for services are an indication that the properties are not being managed properly. It is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and residents of the city to adopt an ordinance to identify and address properties that are not properly managed and are maintained, and which burden adjacent properties in the city. My take on this is that a person who has a business, like Mr. Bill is here tonight. I'm glad that you're here, sir. I'm going to talk about your property. I'm just saying he's not responsible for people that's standing up in front of his place because there's a no loitering sign there. And I'm just saying, if they don't enforce the no loitering, I feel like this person should not be held accountable, saying, that he's responsible for what happened on this property, but there's a no loitering sign. If he calls the police, I'm just saying, will this be held against him? If we have to call him 2 or 3 times a day, somebody need to do clarification so that I can explain this while he's sitting here, so we know what we're up against.
And I would like that clarification as well.
I think Chief is coming up. He spoke to this at the last meeting. Individuals who report crimes that occur on their properties would not be held accountable because they're doing their civic duty by reporting the crimes that are taking place on their property. I think that what this ordinance does is it attempts to hold accountable property owners and businesses who are complicit or choose to be ignorant of crimes that occur on or adjacent to their property in direct relation to their property. So it's not if someone breaks into my business and I call the police, I'm going to get punished. It's if people are committing crimes on or around my business and I don't acknowledge it, I'm creating a problem. So I'll shut my mouth there, but Chief is here.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from the Chief. I'm just saying, so that the citizens in District 2 will feel more comfortable if this is put in place. How would this affect the business owners in District 2, Chief?
Thank you. Jeff Katz, Police Chief. I could not have articulated it any better than Vice Mayor Katz. But I would say the easiest way to answer this is this ordinance establishes problem-solving partnerships. Business owners who are complicit in criminal activity will have a problem as a result of this ordinance, and that's appropriate. Business owners that want to work with the city to not allow crimes to occur on their property will not have any effect as far as this ordinance is concerned. A business owner who calls for law enforcement or fire services or any municipal services to say, hey, we need assistance, they're not going to face any issues. They're not going to face any problems whatsoever. It's only the businesses that are complicit in criminal activity that are going to face any sanctions as it relates to this ordinance.
I thank you for
Sir, you have to come up to the podium to talk and wait your turn.
Mark George, 248 Main Boulevard. In regard to Mr. Bell is an excellent businessman, and over the years he's never had a crime in his store. Now, there have been crimes that have occurred near his store, but he has not been a factor in that. And so I personally want to point that out because Mr. Bell is a good man, he's a good businessman, and he's never had a crime in his store. There have been crimes nearby, but he has not been a party to engage in that or encourage that. If anything, he's been trying to discourage that because it does affect business, and anything that affects business, he wants his business to continue to do well. Secondly, this ordinance must be passed. This is a step forward. It's a way to work together with the community. Chief Katz and Mark Woods, they put this thing together based on the best practices in this county, such as West Palm Beach and Lake Worth. And they did their homework and they did it right. And so I fully encourage you to pass this ordinance. It is not singling out businesses, it's singling out businesses that produce crime. When you have a hotel, for example, and you are promoting prostitution and encouraging it, you're a nuisance business. If you are complicit, where on a regular basis you are having people overdose on your property, and you're providing them a place to do that, you've got a problem. And so this is what this is mainly geared to do, is address those chronic nuisances. And so I think that what they've come up with is excellent because it is based on best practices in this county, and I encourage you to pass it. Thank you.
Chief, I wanted to personally say thank you for your comments. It is on the record, Mr. Bell, he has our backup now. I'm just saying, if he needs to, come down and say anything. But my whole take is that this is not singling out his business or any business in District 2. I feel comfortable now means that, if they have to call, they will not be penalized. This is what you stated, and it's on the record, and this is what I needed, something on the record to address what has been stated.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Clifford Bell. I'm the manager of 100 Block Martin Luther King. And based to the nuisance, I understand it, but it's just the things that I want to say. I try to keep the business up there good as I can. It's a public business. I can't tell who to come on their property, what they have in their pocket when they come on their property. I can't control nobody's vehicle. I try to keep around the store good as I could. I call the police a lot of time. A lot of them I get trouble when I call them. Some of them, they come up there, they want to have a chip on their shoulder. I don't know. I had Chief Cat number. He didn't change this number. I tried to call, reach out to Cat a couple of times through the police department, never got through. I can't talk to the mayor. He won't talk to me about nothing. So, my thing is, if I have a problem, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to call the police because I don't want nothing going on around my store. I can't tell nobody, you can't come up here and stop here because you might have drugs in your property. I can't do that. This is a public business. And I know a lot of guys up there don't sell drugs. A lot of them don't. A lot of people be up there looking for work. And I understand and I try to do the best I can with all my heart and mind to keep my business up there clean. I had a couple of guys OD on the 100 block of 9th Street. I called code enforcement. I called the police. They gave me a hard time for calling the police. 2 guys back there OD. I feel sorry for the family sitting their children out here to die off a drug. It became a lot problem more since the Family Dollar been there because Family Dollar draw more black, white, Spanish, everyone in it since they've been has been worse. And it's going on, not just my store, Family Dollar, it's just worse. Z Market, it's going on everywhere, not just in the business at the store. It's going on at people's homes. I don't want my store in part of nothing, none of that. I had an officer come up there one night. I had a guy there waiting on 5 dinners. He told the guy to leave. I said, why you tell the guy to leave? this is a drug area. I said, everybody up here don't have drugs. So why would you run a man out? I mean, it killed me business. He said, this is what I'm going to do. So he had a sergeant with him, Sergeant Kelly. And I mean, it got so bad, I couldn't even talk to Sergeant Kelly. Man, Sergeant Kelly never had a problem. I mean, it comes up there with a chip on their shoulder. If they come up there, you know, without that chip, a lot of things can be done. But when you come around with a chip on your shoulder, it's nothing gonna get done. And there's one thing about me, if you look at my calls, if they're doing something I ask them don't do, I'm gonna call the police and put it in the paperwork. They selling drugs on my property. I want them off the property. Police do nothing.
Mr. Bell, are you saying you have a problem or an issue communicating with our police chief?
Yes, I do.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, not with the chief, no. But I have been trying to reach out to him. But I also asked Officer Minister, the Chaplain Hayes, to reach out to him for me because I've been having problems with some of the officers that comes up with chips on their shoulder. It's a way to do things. I mean, like I tell them, you see anybody doing something wrong, I'm down with you. I'm down with you. But everybody up there in the morning, a lot of guys wait on work. They go to work with this guy. A couple of guys come with the roofing and lawn service company. And I done had them come up there. You know, everybody don't sell drugs. And I mean, they come up there with everybody black got to have drugs or selling drugs, and that's not true. I mean, if anything going on, if I can't actually move off my property by my heart, I have a problem. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to trespass them off my property.
Could I recommend that, Chief, that you and Mr. Bell maybe get together and have some type of conversation? Appreciate that.
I mean, I want to do whatever it takes to keep my property. I don't stay open all night. I work from 5 to 11, 6 days a week, and I work hard by myself. And I do a lot good. You know what I mean? I can't tell everybody what to do and where to go. But if I see anything going on my property, I take control of it. I does take control. I'm not scared to call the police and say, this is when I call the police. I don't call the police and say, well, somebody doing this and who you is, I don't know. I tell them, Clifford Bell, in front of the person.
Mr. Bell, I thank you for your comments for the record. And the reason I'm thanking you is that every time you do have a problem, you pick up the phone and you call me. You said, Mike, they're back up here. We go on first name basis. I said, cut out that commission stuff. Get to the point. I need to know what's happening. I appreciate your phone calls, and you do care. You call, and then I turn back around and I said, Chief, this is a problem. And I'm just saying, hopefully the two of you, the chief, and whoever else needs it, can get on the communication thing so that you all could dialogue and find out what is the problem. I'm just saying, for you to say that you call the chief when he has a cell phone that's being paid for by the city, I find it kind of hard to believe, sir. It bothers me. I'm just saying.
Been changed. The number
been changed. I'm just saying it should be made available, some kind of way to get in touch with him. I'm just saying you're having problems. It's not that you calling for a conversation to be friendly. I'm just saying you calling for a conversation because there's a problem.
Right.
A lot of times when we call down here, I'm going to go ahead and say it for the record, is that they tell us, say, what is your name? We give our name. Then they said, okay, what's the problem? We tell the problem. Then they said, do you want me to come to your house? No, don't come to my house. I'm telling you about a problem, and then they said, be anonymous. We tried to be anonymous, but when we get through, they have us feeling like we are the bad guy, and the person that's doing the crime, they go free. And I get this all the time in District 2, and it bothers me.
But it's true. I had an incident where I called police on a person the other day. Police searched the person. I had drugs on them. Let them go. So,
okay.
What can I do?
Chief, would you like to comment, Chief?
I would. For the record, anybody wishes to have my cell phone number, it has not changed. It's on my business card. It's 561-504-9009. I'm happy to give it out to anybody. It has not changed. Never. Not once. It's on my card.
All right, you have the new number now. Okay, if not, I have it. All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Stephanie Hayden Adiemo. I live at 2181 Southwest 15th Avenue, condo N102, Boynton Beach, Florida 33426. Thank you, Mr. Bell, as being a small business owner here in the city of Boynton Beach. My conversation or discussion that I would like to talk about is actually something that was scaled back, and then he just spoke about it. I think there is a dispensation of coverage of circulating this nuisance that is an ordinance, I believe, that you all will be voting on, or you already voted on?
We will be voting on.
Will be voted on. So the gentleman came up and spoke about the homing in. So what district is that?
District 3.
District 3, okay. And then where his business is District 2?
District 2.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? And you have like a stay on sober homes, right? In all the areas, right?
The moratorium on group
Right,
homes.
in all the areas, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the underlining issue and the highlight that I would like to bring up is that the policing in this area is not being done effectively. And I'm speaking from firsthand experience and just overall in general, because it seems to me that there's a lot of crimes that go unsolved here, and we have a police chief that is often away getting training. And again, you're speaking about coming up on the city legal department. You should also look into maybe looking at a change in the police chief for your city. That's a suggestion from a resident. Thank you.
Ma'am, I totally disagree with your last statement there. I think the chief has turned this department around 180 degrees. We have one of the best police departments. They work diligently with the community. They have outreach programs. They have town hall meetings on a quarterly basis into the neighborhoods to get the people. We've got 2 officers down in District 2 there working in the neighborhood.
I'm not talking specifically about District 2.
Well, you seem to be talking.
No, but why did you bring up District 2? That's what I'm saying. You're in District 4, right?
That you brought it up.
I'm
saying that the police here do a great job.
Excuse me, one person talking at a time.
I'm talking right now. You're interrupting me.
I'll allow you to speak.
I'm just saying I totally disagree with your assessment of our police department and our chief. That's all I have to say to you.
And that's District 4.
Kellesello,
You
finished?
disagree? District 4, you disagree?
And we all
Correct?
represent the city.
Ma'am,
The
this is
districts
for-
are for electoral purposes. We all represent every resident of this city.
Okay. I noticed I asked what the different commissioners represent. I didn't just pick one area.
I represent the city of Boynton Beach.
Again, the city of Boynton Beach also needs to look at new leadership in their police department. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Disagree and will never support that on my time up here unless something provoked the...
Doc, I'm going to go ahead and make comments,
Excuse me, I'm going to just calm down a little second.
I'm not upset, but I need to tell about a thing that I had done for District 2, sir, and you didn't get it. I'm just saying, for District 2, I had them to compile a report, which we have over about 5,500 calls for the police department in District 2. All the other ones have about 25 or 2,300. And my problem was, and I spoke to the chief this morning, is that we only have 4 police officers patrolling District 2. They need to ante up the manpower, like I said, when we have double and the problems. And this is what I'm saying, and we do need to recognize that in District 2, we have a problem, and the elderly people that I represent, they're saying, Commissioner, if we could see more police officers, we will feel safer. I know we all have our own little groups and everything like that, but I represent a group where we highly need the presence of the police officers, and this is what we're saying. I'm just saying, to ride up and down the streets instead of sitting by a store, like I'm doing a report or something like that, be visible. And I am not upset, but I do know one thing. We do need more police officers in District 2, and I will be speaking on that when we come to the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Willie Akins, and at 726 Northeast 1st Street, Boynton Beach, Florida. I'm the president of the Heart of Boynton. I would like to make a comment on District 2. What I would like to say is that I know Mr. Bell, I know his stores, I know all of the activities go there. We've had many conversations about his area. What I would like to do is propose that the chief and also the business officer will come and have a meeting at the Carousel Center. I will schedule it. We can talk it out. We can build bridges together. That's what the Heart of Boynton does. We build bridges. We bring the police officer and the citizens together, and then we'll decide on how we should work with this hand in hand. He's running a business, and also the citizens around there, he can't control those. I'm talking about the business owners. But there is ways that we can work together. I do agree that we do need more staff on there, and the budget is coming up. We do need more police officers there. But the most important thing is we need to communicate to bring each other together. This is what this is all about. This is what each and every one of us are here to bring District 2 and all of you that support District 2 and the whole city together as one. The police officer can't do it by themselves, and we can't do it by ourselves. Citizens are reaching out, business are reaching out, so let's put these things together. Let's come to a meeting where we can talk and discuss and reason with one another on how to handle the situation that we have. Yes, we need the officers to do a better job, but there's not enough officers. We're definitely be putting more emphasis on that on the budget. We definitely need that. Secondly, my thing is, I think we should have more communication between the city, the police officer, and the citizens. Now, to run a business, he can only manage his business. He can't manage everything out of the business. I understand that things happen, but understand something. You have to understand what the gentleman is trying to reach out and say and do. We have to work together and see what their problems are. He can't go out there and micromanage outside of his store. But we can work together when there's a problem and there's a good system of making the problem come together. So I suggest that we make an appointment to have a meeting at the Carol Sims Center. I would be glad to schedule that with Chief Katz and any business person that has any problem so we can work it out. This is not a one-man thing. This is a hand-in-hand thing. And this is what we do. We speak up, we come out, we do things, we make changes, and we do it together. Any questions?
I was going to say that I appreciate Mr. Aiken's statements, and I agree 100%. And I've been thinking about, in lieu of the fact that we're developing a lot in the downtown area over the next couple of years, we're constantly redeveloping the heart of Boynton area. That in the near future, whether it's in we got budget and everything coming up, but I would like to have a public meeting to discuss downtown law enforcement and get ideas from the police chief on what he thinks he can be given in terms of additional resources or support from this commission, because the police chief or his officers, they can only do what they're allowed to do within the bounds of the law, but we have the ability to shape and rewrite the law to give them additional tools to deal with these issues. I think that it's a pivotal aspect of this discussion, like you said, that we all come together. I hear constantly, and it perplexes me that individuals say, well, we don't want more police in our neighborhoods, and then when something comes up, they say, well, we want police to do more, but we don't want police in our neighborhoods. Well, if police aren't in your neighborhoods, then they can't do anything for you. They're not going to sit on a telephone and coach you out of a criminal, engagement. So
I want to correct on that. Most of the people that I talked to said they need more police officers. The two officers we have right there as a fantastic group of people. They're familiar. They're breaking changes that have been there 40 years. The two I work personally with, and a lot of people work with, look, they are great people. What we're saying is, well, I can copy these two, I will get 10 more. We do need more people. We do. You're putting 2 in District 2. Imagine this now. One is calling a thing, and the one has to do what? One person can't do it by himself. 2 is not enough. We do need more than 2. Budget's coming up. We're going to ask for 4. Now, you gentlemen has the opportunity to change that. Why can't we get 4 in there instead of 2?
I mean, that'll be a discussion for budget, specifically with the CRA, because that's more specifically their purview. But I agree. That's why I want to call for in due time this public meeting, because I fear that sometimes some of the most vocal people who reach out to us are not representative of the community. And in a community meeting or setting that I'm talking of, that you've alluded to, the individuals who do want police to help, who do feel like they are hostage to crime and hostage to negative environmental aspects, I think that I want those people to come out to show support, because it's an awkward conversation to be had in public, in politics, to try to talk about police engagement in low-income and minority areas and the horrible things that happen throughout the country in isolated incidents with people who are bad actors. But I would rather have that awkward conversation and force that than to wake up every morning and hear of another shooting or another person whose house was broken into. So I invite, whether people are comfortable or uncomfortable with it, everyone needs to accept the reality that we need to have a public conversation, and we need to embrace each other, whether that's law enforcement and any population throughout the city, not just District 2 or District 3, but the West Side as well. It's time to have that conversation, because it's, one, obviously terrible conditions for people who live around this type of crime. It's bad for businesses now who might become collateral damage to our efforts to control that crime in their areas, and it's bad for the future of Boynton Beach and the type of development we're trying to foster, whether it's in the downtown area or the talks about affordable housing. If you put affordable housing in an area where people are constantly getting into violent altercations, it's worthless. Who wants to put somebody who's already in an impoverished situation into an environment where now they might get killed when they walk out their front door because of certain types of violence? So I appreciate your comments. Again, I'm going in circles, but I look to call for a public meeting where the police and the community and us as a commission can brainstorm and come up with ideas to try to foster a better relationship, because it's essential for the future of this city. It's not going to work. All of our downtown plans and our rehabilitation of certain areas that are depressed, it's all going to be in vain if we can't get a hold on some of the crime. And I hear the number one thing I hear, oddly enough, from residents in District 1 on the west side of 95 is what's going on with the violence on the east side of 95. So it is a citywide issue. And again, I thank you for your comments, and I look forward to trying to make this a more public conversation to get to some real tangible results.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Akins, please stand there. Let me go ahead and make my final statement in regards to this. First of all, in regards to getting people to come out, the people that's complaining to me, they're elderly, they're over 65, 75, 85, and some of them are 90, and they tell me personally and point blank, Commissioner, we have you representing us, you represent us. So if they don't come, I am their representative, and I will be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Because I want to say one more thing after this here. It's not just that the crime is there. We have citizens that wants to come and shop at Mr. Bell's store. If they don't feel comfortable because they don't have the security, don't have the police officer protection, they don't want to go shopping there. That's not Mr. Bell's fault. Our fault is that, again, we need to deal with the problem. We need to come together. We need to solve this problem together. It's not just the crime that's going there. Citizens has the right to go and shop wherever they please and not be afraid to go there because they don't have protection to go there and do it.
Mr. Hagan, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Why would they need police protection to go to Mr. Bell's store?
They don't need police protection. They need police protection.
Why are they feeling unsafe?
Because they don't have police protection and a lot of things going on there, because they can't go in there and feel safe because there's too many problems going on there. They don't need the police protection to go shopping. They need police protection to move some of the crime away from the shopping, just like Mr. Bell does. That's what we need police protection for. We only have 2 in the district. Now, 2 can't handle it. Now, no disrespect. I love the guys that are doing their job. They're doing 110%. But those 2 people cannot do them by themselves. So, yes, they do need more police officers. They do need to go there and feel comfortable going shopping. Just like you would go to Publix and everything, no crime, no place there, they want the same rights too. So the only way to get there is we come together and solve the problem and make sure that everybody have the right to go to Mr. Bell's shop, to go to any other store that's in the District 2 area. So they do need the protection. If there's a crime, Mr. Bell shouldn't have to worry about the crime on the outside. He has a business to run. But the people that we put in charge for that position, we don't have enough of them to do the job.
All right. Well, thank you. And,
any more questions?
No, but I'd like to state that one of the things on the chronic nuisance abatements is statute 812.173, the convenience business security.
Okay.
So that means that if Mr. Bell's shop is not up to code with the statute, we are going to fine him for that property convenience business. And so that's kind of where we're at, is that we want to make sure the property is safe for the whole community, including his customers. And this is what this chronic nuisance abatement is for, is to make sure that the community is safer.
Okay.
Period.
What about the additional policemen? Now, that's
a different topic, not today.
That's budget.
That's what I mentioned too. All right.
Budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Minister Bernard Wright, CEO of Bernard Wright Ministries, Real Talk Radio, and the Robert E. Wells Foundation. And as a citizen of Boynton Beach and the heart of Boynton, I like to call it Resurrected Boynton now, because we're talking about resurrecting life back into the city, moving the prophetic spirit of a better Boynton. I don't know where you all are coming from, like Boynton is Chicago, like Boynton is Riviera, Rawveria. You know, I mean, Boynton, I'm there every morning dropping my boy off at Ponciana. I'm there at the store, Cross Cherry Hill Mini Market, for about an hour after having my coffee and cleaning up. I mean, in between that time and 5 o'clock, I'm from Bell's to Cross Cherry Hill to my home and my office. Have you ever seen more peace in any other city than in Boynton? How much crime do we really have in Boynton? I mean, just be serious about it. In District 2, for real. I mean, occasionally we may have a murder, but you can't stop this. We as the clergy know this from the Bible. The Prince of Peace has to come for peace to be here. But let me just say this. It has not been that kind of crime to be talking about additional police officers as though this is Gestapo. We don't need supervision from police officers. That store has been there culturally since I was born. I'm 64 years old. Culturally, we assemble. Since things were torn down and has not been rebuilt, we assemble in front of these stores. We have been doing it since I was a child. What are you trying to do? Are you using this ordinance to try and shut most of the neighborhoods down in Boynton? I want to make sure that this is not a target. We make sure that is not. Okay, other than that, Mr. Bell can't tell who not to be around his store if they're not a nuisance. Let me just say this here. What do we need more officers for? Yes, maybe the officers program, a couple of more in that respect, because their job is to try and bring some reconciliation into the community and try to interact with the community. But as far as you talk about police officers, every time I look around, there's a police officer. Like I need a police officer here in Boynton Beach. No, we're not even going to think about tolerating that, having officers everywhere I look. For what reason? To God be the glory. Because I really like to know, where are you coming from that they need officers to escort people to Bell's store? I mean, come on. People come to Bell's store. Who comes to Bell's store? There are people who make a choice to go to Walmart or Family Dollar, over to the Cherry Hill Mini Market. That's their choice. That's their prerogative. But nobody don't need no escorts to come to Bell's store like it's some kind of Vietnam. To God be the glory, man. Let's be disillusioned when it comes to this police thing in the heart of Boynton Beach. I am so twisted in my spirit right now. I mean, every day, all day, I'm there. I'm there when you're not there. And I'm telling you, I've never seen more peace in a city as Boynton Beach, and has always have been that way. Yes, we have crime occasionally. To God be the glory. But what do you need more officers? If I tell you what, you want to get some jobs to some people, get some jobs on the other side.
Thank you. Mr. Bell, would you like to have... so before you begin, I'd like to say that you as the business owner is not going to be affected at all by this chronic nuisance abatement. The property owners, I believe it's your family, Octavia and Alberta Bell, that is who we are working with for this chronic nuisance abatement. That's kind of where we're trying to explain, is that as business owners, we understand you can't control all these things, but the property owners is a different subject. And that's who we are negotiating with regarding the chronic nuisance abatement. It has nothing to do with the certain businesses. It has to do with the property owners who allow the businesses there.
Okay, but I just want to say, I mean, what he said, I mean, some of the way he said it is, we don't need it. I mean, my store is not a bad store. You don't need police there for people to come there. People are going to make their decision wherever they want to go. Exactly. I mean, it's Family Dollar, Z Market, Rainbow, Palm Food Express. It's just my thing is, if a police passing by and see something done wrong, I want him to do his job. That's all my want.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And talking about the property, I tried to keep the property up the best as I could. I used to clean up. I cleans up right now today. Larry Fingerson's property. I keep his property clean. Mm-hmm. I used to keep the other side clean. I used to keep Clark Street clean for CRA too, but it just got so much. Don't nobody want to help me. I'm not the only business up there, but I try to do the best that I could for around the business. I keep that side up clean mostly. And I used to do it, and Micah at CRA would tell you, I used to do it a lot. And I keeps the back clean. I clean the back of the store because... Sir,
this is about the chronic nuisance abatement,
okay,
not the
but I'm
property.
just saying this is about the chronic nuisance abatement by cleaning up the back of the property where the guy's been ordained.
Thank you.
But we don't need that type of police, but people make their choice.
Thank you. All right, Commission, any final comments? Vice Mayor?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah.
You raise your hands.
I think, caught up in the discussion and the individuals here who are trying to raise concerns about this ordinance. Again, this is not an ordinance to target any one individual business or type of business. The only thing this is an ordinance to target is businesses that are complicit in or choose to be ignorant of criminal activity as a byproduct of their business. Again, over where I live in Renaissance Commons, the last place you would think that there would be constant heroin overdoses. It happens on a regular basis. People die literally multiple times a year from heroin, literally, feet from my house. A couple units to the left, couple units to the right. Those are businesses, sober homes. We constantly get, demands to try to control and regulate these, and we are hamstrung by the federal and state laws. But this ordinance says generically that any business that allows criminal activity to happen on their property to the point that it is a nuisance to society has to be held accountable. So this is not about any one store, one business. This may affect businesses in districts 1, 2, 3, and 4. It may affect businesses ran by white people and black people and Hispanic people, but the common thread between any business this will affect is that they are complicit in criminal activity on their property. This is about nothing more than that. So it diverges into these, well, what about this or what about that business? This is about any business that is not doing its civic duty and reporting crimes and trying to mitigate problems that their business creates for society. Now the police will have a mechanism to step in and say, we need to work together or you will be held to account. Again, it's a tool for law enforcement that is, a valuable tool to get these businesses on board. It's just, I understand that there's concerns if there's fear that individual businesses or your own personal business will be affected by this. But if as you stated, you do everything in your power to maintain law and order on your property and you're trying to run a legitimate business, this ordinance is meant to help you collaborate with police to deal with those problems that you say you're not necessarily getting the resolution you desire right now. So I do see it as a positive thing. There's obviously fear and concerns, not just voiced by yourself, but another property owner here who owns buildings and has bars as tenants, obviously raised concerns. Well, what if this bar starts to get into trouble? Am I going to be affected? The answer is, as long as you do your civic duty and report crimes on your property, absolutely not. And that's why I support this bill. And you want to get a handle on any type of chronic, violent, or criminal activity, whatever district, whatever business. It's just people are dying, and it's not just through violence in the heart of Boynton. It's through overdoses in every part of Boynton. It's through violence outside of the heart of Boynton. This is a citywide ordinance to protect businesses and residents, and I fully support its implementation.
I just want to get a correction on that the only time business is in this ordinance is for statute 812-173. This is property owners who are the landlords of the business.
That's what I mean.
And so it's for property owners, not businesses. Because a lot of the time the businesses are the victims of these crimes. And that's kind of where we want the property owners to be responsible for the things that happen to these businesses and their patrons. Commissioner McCray?
Thank you. I'm glad that the conversation was had tonight. It's on the record. Mr. Bill, you do understand now that nobody's targeting you. And with 5,560 some calls for District 2, we don't need police officers to sit in front of nobody's store, but we do need more police officers in District 2. And this is what I'm going to be fighting for when it comes to the budget, that we do need more police officers, not officers to sit in front of a store, but officers to patrol the streets to make sure that elderly people are safe. These are the phone calls that I am getting. I represent District 2. I'm the one that received the phone calls, and this is all I need to say. Thank you. I'm ready to vote.
Commissioner Romulus, any other thing to add?
I received, I don't know about the rest of you all, but I received several emails throughout this week in support of this ordinance. I was always in support of this ordinance. I simply just had some concerns and questions, and those concerns were addressed at our last meeting. And the red flags that I had up have been brought down regarding, unfairly targeting businesses. That's not the intent of this ordinance, and I'm in full support of it, because we have businesses that this ordinance is created for. Not just businesses, but we have places around the city that this ordinance is created for that will really help to alleviate the problems that these places have been causing for their nearby residents and people who have to deal with them. So I'm fully in support of this, and I will be voting in the affirmative for this.
Commissioner Casella, any final comments?
No, Mr. Mayor, I think everything that's been said that needed to be said. I'm in agreement with this ordinance. I think we've pretty much beat it to death.
All right. May I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Katz?
Yes.
Commissioner Romulus?
Yes.
Commissioner Casella?
Yes.
Mayor Grant?
Yes.
And Commissioner McCray?
Aye.
The vote is 5-0.
All right. Item B. Proposed resolution number R17-056. Approve the chronic nuisance service cost resolution.
So moved.
Do I have a
second with discussion?
Sure.
Regarding the cost, this is just something that I thought of as we were discussing the past ordinance. with the cost that it would take for a property owner to come up to code. Like, for example, if they have to put in security cameras or they have to put in motion detectors or whatever improvements they would possibly have to make to their property to come up to code and to be in compliance with the past ordinance that we just passed. Is it possible for the board, and again, this is something to consider, that we maybe through the CRA or through the city create some type of fund that can help some of these businesses? So whether it is just maybe allocating, if they're willing to comply, if they're willing to work, maybe there's can be some $1,000 set aside or something to help these businesses as they improve.
As for the CRA, that's something that they can bring up, but if the city manager wants to put a item in the budget for this, whether it be per property amount or a total amount, that's something that we could look into, but you'd have to bring it up for the CRA to have something in their funds.
Understood, but I also just wanted to have the conversation start here on the city side as well.
Okay. And before Vice Mayor, the technology fee of 5%, is that defensible regarding personal time as just this flat fee of technology? So if there's, $1,000, it's going to be $50.
We do think that's a recoverable cost, and there's no money making in this for the city. This is pure cost recovery, and that element has been looked at.
And so it is, all this is defensible.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, just, fundamentally, or, in an ideal scenario, I wouldn't mind setting aside money for the purpose of assisting businesses that are put in this position. But, in terms of the reality of it, I don't know if I personally believe that it's the government's job to buy security systems for private businesses. I think that, at this point in time, with the cost of technology and security and cameras, it's a cost of doing business. If anybody opened a business today, presumably they would have to buy a security system and have cameras if they were wanting to protect their business. So while, again, in a perfect world, it'd be nice to set aside money, but I don't know if I would be in favor of that, given our situation.
I hear you, Vice Mayor Katz, and yes, in a perfect world, we are not in a perfect world, so we're not going to be buying security systems for businesses. This is simply just kind of like what the CRA does, where we have funds set aside for facade grants for a business, or 1-year reimbursement for their employees or their rent, whatever. This is just an idea to bring up and to propose, and as we help these businesses basically, remove the nuisance that's causing them to be there, we don't want to also lose these businesses as well. So I'm saying, if there's a way to help them as they rehabilitate their way back to being good neighbors and good business owners here, then maybe this is one way to help do that. Maybe it would be like a $500 grant or a $1,000 grant. It's not to buy their entire security system.
I think that might be something we look in the CRA's exterior facade grant or
Absolutely,
interior facade
yes.
grant.
It's just a thought. Just wanted to get you guys,
sort of thing.
spring the wheel on that. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, seeing none, resolution passes. Proposed ordinance number 17-013. Jim?
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, designating the property known as the Boynton School, the Children's Museum, located at 129 East Ocean Avenue, which is more fully described herein as a local historic site, providing a non-severability clause and an effective date.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Romulus.
Yes.
Commissioner Cassello.
Yes.
Mayor Grant.
Yes.
Commissioner McCray.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Katz.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Last, Jim?
This item on the agenda is the first summer sequel coming out. This has been on the agenda before, but we didn't show the movie. So this is a request to spend about an hour with you to talk about the secured holdings, plaintiff versus Quantum Overlay District, Eugene Gerlica, and City of Boynton Beach case.
When do you need it by?
In conjunction with one of your next few meetings, and we would need about an hour.
The options are the special commission meeting or the CRA meeting.
Yeah, you've got some challenging agendas coming up, so it may be...
because of the summer hours, is everyone able to make a 5 o'clock on Monday?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then I don't want to make it at
I'd be
8
working.
o'clock. Would anyone want to have the 5:30 on Tuesday?
Which date is this?
The
Yeah.
13th is our next two group meetings.
5:30 on Tuesday?
Otherwise, I'm leaving Thursday and Friday to Orlando.
I have no problem with prior to the CRA board meeting next week.
Okay.
I have a prior engagement.
You can wait till July? I
Thank
think
you.
Jim was saying we were,
Yeah,
the second
there's-
meeting in July?
Oh, okay.
There's
what
no
that's-
pressing court issue.
Oh, I thought you said in the next. So could
No,
we
it's
try
just-
to do
it's
it on
time to
the?
come back and talk about that case. There have been several issues that have come up regarding potential global settlement that we need to discuss behind closed doors.
Okay, and then the next one is Tuesday, the 20th of June.
We were saying we was looking for a July meeting,
All right then,
The
next
second meeting in July.
second meeting in July.
The 18th.
the 18th.
18.
Yes.
Fine. Okay. Sounds good. No, we have the budget workshop.
Want to put it before the CRA meeting in July?
I think would be best. Tuesday, July 11th at 5:30. All right. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So, second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.